Part 1. Rock bottom had a basement high. Never imagined I'd be here telling this story. If you had told me 7 years ago that one day I'd be the CEO of a multi-million-dollar wellness company, I probably would have laughed or cried more. Likely cried. Back then, I was 31, broke, newly divorced, and raising my 3-year-old daughter, Harper, alone. I had exactly $147.26 in my checking account the day I moved out of our shared apartment. That number is burned into my memory, not because it was tragic, although it was, but because it was the number that forced me to face myself. There were no backup plans, no safety net. My parents were halfway across the country in Ohio, living paycheck to paycheck themselves. I couldn't bear the thought of moving back in with them, not after everything I had promised myself as a teenager. I had left my small town with so much fire, so many big city dreams, and now here I was burned out, scared and completely uncertain of what came next. The apartment I found was a 1-bedroom on the edge of Sacramento. Affordable by California standards, but still a stretch. The kitchen faucet dripped. The heater groaned, but it had a lock on the door and a small patch of sunlight that hit the living room floor every morning. That little square of light became my sanctuary. I would sit there while Harper napped, holding a cup of lukewarm tea like it was something sacred, trying to remind myself that I was still here, still breathing. But the truth? I was exhausted, losing more than money I had just walked away from. A 6-year marriage where I had given up more than I ever realized. My career in marketing had flatlined the moment Harper was born. We'd agreed I'd stay home just for the first year, but that year became 2 and 3. My resume was stale, and the industry had moved on without me. Every job I applied to wanted experience I no longer had, and then there was the guilt, the constant, low-grade shame of feeling like I'd failed my daughter, like I couldn't give her the life she deserved. Every tantrum, every skipped meal because I had to stretch groceries an extra day. Every no I said when she asked for a toy or even just a donut at the store, it all sat heavy on my chest. Remember one night after Harper had finally fallen asleep, I sat on the floor of our bathroom and cried for 2 straight hours. It was the kind of cry that empties you, that makes you wonder what the point of anything is, that makes you feel invisible. I didn't just feel broke financially, I felt broken as a person. That night, I told myself 2 things. I would never let my daughter see me give up. I would find a way out, no matter how long it took. The spark came from a spoon. The funny thing about turning points is they don't always come as grand epiphanies. Sometimes they sneak in as tiny moments. For me, it came from a spoon. Harper had developed mild eczema, and the doctor recommended an over-the-counter cream. I bought it. It helped for about 2 weeks. Then it stopped working. I started Googling homemade remedies, desperate for something gentle and cheap. That's how I stumbled onto a blog post about a turmeric honey mixture. I had both in my pantry. Why not? I mixed it, applied it to her arms during bath time, and within a week, the redness faded. Within 2 weeks, it was gone. I didn't think much of it at the time, but something about making that paste myself, it stirred something. I had made something with my hands that helped my daughter, that gave her relief, that made me feel capable again. So I started experimenting. Every night after Harper went to bed, I'd scour the internet for homemade skin and wellness recipes. I made salves, balms, scrubs. I tried dozens of essential oils. I learned about shea butter, beeswax, tea tree oil. My tiny kitchen turned into a lab. I burned a lot of batches. I stained a lot of shirts. But slowly, I began crafting formulas that actually worked on me, on Harper, and eventually on a few brave friends who agreed to be my testers. That patch of sunlight on the living room floor, That became my product staging area. I'd line up glass jars, scribble labels by hand, and fantasize about what it would be like to actually sell something, to make money doing something that mattered. I didn't know it yet, but I had just created the first prototype of what would become Sona Botanicals. Survival mode to startup mindset. The shift didn't happen overnight. At first, selling my scrubs and balms was more about surviving than thriving. I joined a local mom group on Facebook and posted a photo of a rosehip lip balm I had made. I got 3 likes, and then a message. Can I buy 2? They look lovely. I nearly dropped my phone dot. I sold the 2 for $8 each. That $16 felt like $1,000,000. I used it to buy more jars and ingredients. I kept making, kept selling. Word spread. Moms told other moms. Friends started posting photos and tagging me. I created an Instagram page with exactly 5 followers, 3 of whom were my cousins. But the page felt like a declaration. I am doing this. This is real. At night, I still cried sometimes from exhaustion, from fear, from hope. But those cries began to feel different. They weren't the cries of a woman lost in despair. They were the tears of someone climbing, slowly, inch by inch, out of the pit, looking back. Moving forward, if I could go back and talk to the woman I was on that bathroom floor, I'd tell her this: you're not done. You're just starting. You have no idea how strong you really are. I didn't know much about business. I didn't know how to scale or brand or market beyond Facebook moms and Etsy, but I knew how to learn. I knew how to care. I knew how to create something honest, and in that moment, that was enough. Asterisk. Part 2. Building a brand on faith and grit. The first time someone called my little hobby a business, I literally looked over my shoulder to see who they were talking to. Business? Me? At that point, I was still hand pouring body butter into mason jars on my kitchen counter while Harper colored on the floor beside me. My inventory was tucked into 2 cardboard boxes under the sink. My labeling system was a Sharpie and masking tape. I wasn't a businesswoman. I was a mom trying to scrape together grocery money by selling something I believed in. But that's the thing. I did believe in it. I knew what I was making worked. Not because I read about it in a book, but because I'd watched it heal my daughter's skin, clear up my own postpartum eczema, and soothe the dry hands of every stressed out mom I handed it to. Still, belief. Alone wasn't going to scale this into anything sustainable without the branding. Pivot It was a Sunday night when I sat on the floor again with my laptop and a cheap glass of red wine and typed into Google how to start a skincare business with no money. That search changed everything. I found blog posts, podcasts, YouTube rabbit holes. I stayed up late for weeks, studying how branding worked, how to price products, how to build a Shopify site. I learned the difference between wholesale and DTC, how to write a product description that sells, and why packaging matters. One thing became clear. If I wanted people to take this seriously, I had to take it seriously first. I spent $78 of my last $100 on labels and packaging a logo, printed on craft paper stickers, and some amber jars that looked way more wellness brand than old peanut butter containers. It hurt to spend the money, but something told me this was the next leap I had to take. That's also when I came up with the name Sona Botanicals. Sona is derived from the Hindi word for gold. To me, it meant light. It meant worth. It meant rising from something raw and turning it into something beautiful. I didn't know it yet, but Sona would become a name people whispered in yoga studios, farmers markets, and eventually the checkout aisle at Whole Foods. Selling in the real world, I still remember my first farmers market table. It was in Folsom, just outside Sacramento. I paid $40 to rent a 6-foot folding table and brought 17 products with me. I had no signage, no business cards, and my display was an old tablecloth and a bouquet of eucalyptus from Trader Joe's. I was shaking the entire time. People walked past, smiled politely, picked up a jar, and put it back down. I must have said, "Hi, let me know if you have any questions." About 100 times that day, I sold 4 products. For $64 total. Was I disappointed? Honestly, no. I was lit up because someone bought something I made. Not out of pity, not because they were a friend, but because they liked the smell, liked the story, or just believed in it. That was my first taste of real traction. And I was hooked. The hustle behind the scenes every evening after Harper went to bed. I worked. I'd pour oils, blend ingredients, design new labels, and fulfill Etsy orders by hand. I ran to the post office during lunch breaks. I built an email list by offering samples at fitness studios. I sent free jars to wellness influencers and begged them nicely to share it if they liked it. Some did. Most didn't, but the ones who did. Game-changers. One yoga teacher in San Diego posted about our Calm Balm on her Instagram story. She had around 12,000 followers, mostly health-conscious women in their 30s. That single mention brought in 47 orders overnight. I cried, not because I was overwhelmed, but because I finally felt like this was real. But I was also exhausted. Balancing Harper, part-time gigs, and Sona was brutal. There were nights I wanted to quit. Nights I stared at the Shopify dashboard like it held the meaning of life, praying the number at the top would go up. But every time I thought about quitting, I pictured Harper's face. I didn't want to just tell her she could do anything. I wanted to show her. When the bank said no, about a year into building Sona, I applied for my first small business loan. My revenue was around $1,400 a month. Not much, but growing steadily. I walked into the bank with a binder full of projections, receipts, screenshots, even customer testimonials. I was proud of myself. The loan officer smiled the whole time I talked, nodding, encouraging. And then he said, "We can't approve it right now. You just don't have the capital history." It stung, I won't lie. I cried in the car, but I also made a decision. If the bank said no, I'd become my own investor. Started putting aside 10% of every sale, no matter what. If I made $200 that week, $20 went into a locked savings account. Over time, that account became my startup fund. It paid for a new website, better packaging, and eventually my first small batch manufacturer. The rejection pushed me to build smarter and stronger. People don't just buy products, they buy stories. The turning point came when I stopped trying to sell ingredients and started selling transformation. I rewrote every product page with the customer in mind, not calendula-infused jojoba oil, but gentle enough for your toddler's cheeks, powerful enough for your dry winter hands. I added my story to the website, not the polished version, the real one. The part where I sat on the bathroom floor, the part where I thought I couldn't go on, the part where I made a turmeric paste. In a desperate moment of motherhood. And something magical happened. People connected, orders started doubling. Repeat customers started emailing me with things like, "I feel like I'm supporting something real. I love that you're a single mom doing this. You inspire me." That was the moment I realized Sona wasn't just products in a jar. It was a movement, a message, a reminder that even from the hardest place, you can create something meaningful and profitable. Part 3. Scaling without selling out. When people talk about scaling a business, they usually throw around words like venture capital, exit strategy, and market dominance. But when you're a single mom running a wellness company, out of your kitchen, none of those words mean anything. For me, scaling meant survival. It meant I didn't want to live order to order anymore. It meant I wanted to go from I hope I make $200 this week to I can pay the rent, the groceries, and put some money aside. But here's the truth about scaling. It's messy. It forces you to look at the heart of your business and ask some hard questions. Can I do this alone anymore? What corners can I cut anymore? And most importantly, how do I grow without losing what makes this brand mine? That last question haunted me. Outgrowing my own hands at a certain point, I couldn't physically make every product myself. Between Etsy, my Shopify site, local boutiques, and the pop-ups I was still doing, I was pulling 18-hour days. My back ached. My hands were constantly raw from melting and blending and pouring. I knew I had to outsource production, but the thought of it terrified me. Sona Botanicals had always been mine. My energy, my love, my late-night experiments, and tiny handwritten labels. I thought if I wasn't making it with my own two hands, it would somehow lose its soul. But I also knew that if I didn't let go of something, I'd break. So I started researching small batch manufacturers. Not the giant white label ones that slap your logo on a stock formula. I wanted a partner, not a factory. After weeks of digging, I found a women-owned lab in Oregon that specialized in clean, plant-based skincare. They worked with indie brands and offered flexible MOQs, minimum order quantities. They didn't try to change my formulas. They just wanted to help me scale them safely and consistently. The first time I received a shipment of 500 jars made without me, I almost didn't open the box. I sat on the floor staring at it like it was some kind of betrayal. Then I opened it, and you know what? It smelled exactly the same. The texture was perfect. The packaging looked professional. It was still Sona, just bigger. That was the moment I realized I could grow without giving up my identity. From side hustle to brand with manufacturing off my plate, I finally had time to focus on the brand, not just the products. I hired a part-time virtual assistant who was also a single mom to help with customer service and social media. I took a branding workshop online and completely overhauled my website. We refined the color palette, sharpened the copy, and created a tagline that captured everything I wanted Sona to represent. Rooted in care, made to heal, built from the ground up. We added before-after photos from customers. We invested in storytelling, not just selling, and it worked. People connected even more deeply when they saw we weren't trying to be perfect, just real. That authenticity became our secret weapon, saying no to the wrong yes. Not long after relaunching the brand, we started getting attention. A subscription beauty box reached out wanting 8,000 units of our lavender recovery balm. I nearly choked reading the email. My first instinct, yes. Let's do this. I mean, exposure to thousands of new customers, massive order, a foot in the mainstream door. But when I crunched the numbers, we'd lose money. I'd have to pay upfront for production and shipping. They were offering less than cost for each unit in exchange for exposure. I almost said yes anyway. I felt like I should say yes, but something in my gut said, this is the wrong way to grow dots, so I politely declined. And you know what? 2 weeks later, a small chain of wellness boutiques in Northern California reached out. They didn't want a discount. They didn't want 8,000 units. They wanted 200 units per store, and they wanted to feature my story alongside the products. That was the kind of growth I could get behind. Sometimes scaling isn't about doing more. It's about doing the right things with the right people. Hiring. My first employee, I never thought I'd be someone who hired people, but the emails, orders, and messages were piling up. I was missing moments with Harper because I was answering DMS about ingredients. So I hired my first part-time employee, a college student named Naomi who worked 15 hours a week from her dorm. She was smart, kind, and way better at TikTok than I was. Naomi took over social media and started posting behind the scenes. Videos, packing orders, sharing customer testimonials, and even little snippets of my story. One video about my journey from zero to Sona got over 300K views. Orders tripled in 48 hours. That's when I realized this wasn't just a passion project anymore, it was a company. And I was leading it, balancing growth and grounding as. Sona grew, so did the pressure. There were weeks I was buried in inventory forecasts, vendor contracts, and return rates. I had to learn about trademarks, product liability insurance, and barcodes. But even as the company scaled, I never forgot the heart of why I started. Every month, we donate a portion of profits to a local shelter for single mothers. We sponsor skincare workshops for low-income women. And every jar of Calm Balm still includes a tiny note that reads, "You are worthy. You are healing. You are more than enough." That message isn't just for our customers, it's for the woman I used. To be sitting on the floor, wondering if life could ever feel like hers again, it can. It does. Part 4, the $1 million mark and what really matters. The day we crossed the $1 million revenue mark wasn't what I imagined. There was no confetti, no champagne, no viral video. Just me sitting in my car outside Target with Harper in the backseat, eating fries and staring at the notification on my Shopify dashboard. $1,002,456.34 in sales. 12 months, 7 figures. From zero, I remember just whispering, "We did it." Not like a triumphant warrior, but more like a woman who had been holding her breath for 5 years and could finally exhale. Then Harper spilled ketchup all over her leggings and asked for chocolate milk. And just like that, I was back in mom mode. Money changes things, but not everything. Let's get this out of the way. Yes, making money changes your life. It paid off credit cards. It let me upgrade our apartment to a home with 2 bedrooms and a tiny backyard. I finally replaced the 12-year-old laptop I used. To build my first Etsy store, I hired real help, a full-time operations manager, a marketing assistant, a packaging and fulfillment team. But here's what money didn't change. The way I still walk into the post office and say thank you like I'm mailing gold. The way I look at every order notification and think, wow, someone still believes. And this, the way I tuck Harper in and remember how this all started. Because of her, reaching $1 million in revenue didn't make me feel rich. It made me feel resilient. Like every late night, every homemade jar, every no I ever heard. It all built this, not just a business, a life, a legacy. Success isn't always sexy. There's this myth that once you hit a certain revenue number, everything gets easier. Spoiler alert, it DOESN single quotes T.yes. Some things smooth out. You don't have to sweat every $10 decision, but now you're managing real pressure, real inventory, real team members who rely on you for their livelihoods. You trade scrappy stress for strategic stress. At $10,000 a month, I was worried about selling enough to cover rent. At $100,000 a month, I was worried about forecasting, supplier delays, and international shipping tariffs. The stakes get higher. But so does your capacity. What I've learned is this. Success isn't about scaling fast. It's about staying true. True to your product, true to your story, true to the people who supported you before it was cool. I never want to be the brand that forgets who she was when nobody was watching. My daughter, my compass Harper, is 9 now. Sharp, funny, and wildly creative. She started helping with product ideas, usually something glittery and slightly chaotic. We're working on a line together called Little Sona. That's safe for kids. It was her idea. She doesn't remember the tiny 1-bedroom apartment or the nights we ate pasta with ketchup because I couldn't afford tomato sauce. but I do. And I carry those memories like sacred stones. She's my why. Not in the cliche, Instagrammable sense, but in the deepest, truest way, because there were moments I wanted to quit. And if I had, what would I have taught her? That when it gets hard, we stop? That dreams are only for people with money and time? No, I wanted her to grow up knowing that her mom chose to try, that we don't need perfect conditions to begin, we just need to begin. What I know now, if I could go back and talk to the woman I was that first night in our cold, dim apartment with a baby asleep in one room and shame sitting heavy on her, just here's what I'd tell her. You're not broken. You are rebuilding. There's power in being underestimated. The way out is through tiny, consistent steps, not big, dramatic leaps. Your pain will become your story, and your story will become someone else's hope. I would also tell her this, that same turmeric paste you mixed up for your daughter in desperation, it's going to touch tens of thousands of lives. It's going to sit on shelves in homes you'll never see, and it's going to fund your future. Legacy over luxury. I've been approached twice by investors wanting to acquire Sona. The numbers were generous. The offers came with promises of scale, international reach, and 10x valuations. But here's the thing. I didn't build this for a flip. I didn't build it for a boardroom or a quarterly exit strategy. I built it because I needed to believe I still had something to give. And now, women write me every week saying they see themselves in my story, that they're inspired to start something of their own, that they used my calm balm during chemo, that their stretch marks don't make them cry anymore. You can't put a valuation on that. This isn't just skincare. It's healing work. It's identity work. It's emotional labor turned into product. So no, I'm not ready to walk away, because this isn't the finish line. This is just where the story gets even better. Final thoughts. I'm not here to tell you it's easy. I'm here to tell you it's possible. From zero savings to $1 million. Brand wasn't just a financial journey, it was a spiritual one, a motherhood journey, a journey of reclaiming power, purpose, and voice. I didn't have investors, a business degree, or a glamorous background. I had a spoon, a spark, and a whole lot of stubbornness, and that was enough to change everything.